Okay, so in this video we will see next 5 question, that is from question number 76 to question number 80, and all these questions are related to the Google Professional Data Engineer exam, and they are available on the examtopics.com website. Okay, question number 76. Government regulations in your industry mandate that you have to maintain an auditable records of access to certain types of data. Okay, assuming that all expiring logs will be archived correctly, where should you store that is subject to that mandate? Okay, so what question say that? So there is like guidelines from the government that we need to maintain some data for the audit purpose, and all the data should be like archived correctly, right? So we have the company, you can say, or you can say the industry, and industry like we generally access that data, so the logs get generated, right? So we need to like store the logs and archive it correctly. So where should you store those logs? Okay, we have 4 options, right? So first option is encrypted on cloud storage with user supplied encryption keys. A separate decryption key will be given to each authorized user. Okay, so they told that store the logs on the Google Cloud storage. That is fine, but why we like supplied the user encryption keys, and then the decryption key like will be given to each authorized user? So it doesn't make sense here. But this part is like okay, we will store it on the Google Cloud storage. Okay, store into the BigQuery dataset that is viewable only by the authorized personnel with the data access log used to provide the auditability. Okay, so that is also okay. They told that okay, do one thing, store it on the BigQuery and on a data set, and it could be restricted, or you can say provide the access to the only the authorized person. That is okay. In a cloud SQL with separate database and username to each user, the cloud SQL admin activity logs will use it to provide. So this is wrong. Like when we have the like so many other options like cloud storage, BigQuery, like we never will use the like cloud SQL, and there is no need to create a separate database, separate tables, and store the data into the cloud SQL. Even in the cloud SQL, like there is a limit till what point we can store. So even it's a more overhead. So C option is directly eliminated. Okay, in a bucket on cloud storage, okay fine, that is accessible only by an app engine service that collects user information and logs the access before providing a link to the bucket. Okay, they told that we will do one thing, we will store into the cloud storage, so that will be only accessed by the app engine service that will collect the information. So why like it will be accessed only by the app engine service, and why the app engine will only like logs into the cloud storage? So the logs can be logged into can be come from any service, right? It should not be only from the app engine, it could be like from the pipelines or from anywhere, like it will came. So option D like is rejected. Now we have the option number A and option B. So out of 2, option B looks like more relevant to me, because here in which we are like again there is a more overhead, like we are supplying the user supplied keys, and then we are creating a decryption keys, and the decryption key providing to the each authorized user. So they doesn't look good to me, but B looks okay. Just create a dataset and in the BigQuery and store the archive logs, and provide the access to the like authorized persons. So option B looks more relevant. So most of the people say option number B. And if you go to yeah, so this is the official documentation. So even in here like it is mentioned that So the best practice to keep your data into the BigQuery if you want to load the store the data for the longer term, because that is the archive data, so we want to store it for the longer duration, right? So we not like on the daily basis we will like access this data, so it is just for the like auditable purpose. So maybe like within the 1 year, like government did the audit and they want to access the previous access the logs, so then they can view the logs once a year, right? Or once a like a half year. So we are not accessing the logs on the daily basis, right? So the best practice is to keep the data into the BigQuery, like if we want to store the data for the longer term storage. So when you load data into the BigQuery, rather than exporting your older data to the cloud storage, take the advantage of the like a BigQuery, and the pricing is like even very like low. Even for the first like 10 TB for every month it is free, so we can take the advantage of the BigQuery. So that's why like BigQuery is perfectly okay here. That is option number B. Question number 77. Your neural network model is taking days to train. You want to increase the training speed. Okay, so there is a neural network. Neural network is a network in which we have so many network layers, right? And they told that for training, read the question, for the training it is taking a days, and we want to increase the training speed. We have 4 options. Subsample your test dataset. So test dataset is for the testing purpose, but the question said the model is taking times during training, right? So not on the prediction part, not on the testing part, but during the training part itself. So option A is eliminated because it said the test dataset. Option number B said that subsample your training dataset. So they told that okay, let's suppose we have like a training dataset, we will train our model on a subsample, not like all the train dataset, because it is taking a large time, so we will like take a subsampling. So option B looks relevant. Increase the number of input feature to your model. If we increase the number of input feature, let's suppose we have the 10 column, and if we increase to 10 to 20 columns, then the data will increase and even it will take more training time. So option C is eliminated. Increase the number of layers in the neural network. So let's suppose if we have 4 layers in the neural network and we make it 10 layers, then it will the mod like you can say the data has to pass across all the 10 layers, so that it will take even more and more time. So option D is also eliminated. So only one option left, that is the subsample your training dataset. Option B looks okay. Here they told option D, which is wrong. So option B is perfectly. So most of the people say option number B. Question number 78. You are responsible for writing your company's ETL pipeline to run on Apache Hadoop cluster. Okay, so we are writing the ETL pipelines, and the ETL pipeline is running on the Apache Hadoop cluster. Okay, your pipeline will require some checkpoint and splitting pipelines. Okay, which method you will use to write the pipelines? Okay, so our pipeline like requires some checkpointing. Checkpointing is basically used for the debugging purpose, right? And the splitting pipelines. So which method like we will use? So whether we will use pig, whether we use hive, whether we will write some Java using MapReduce, or whether we use Python using MapReduce. So answer here is pig, because pig is like you can say the scripting language, and it is the Apache pig language, so it is compatible with the Apache Hadoop cluster, and it will run on the Apache Hadoop. And along with that, like pig is used for the checkpoint and the splitting pipelines. So that is the main thing, and in the question it will say that we want to perform the checkpointing and splitting pipelines, and so the pig scripting language can be used for the checkpointing and the splitting pipelines. So option A is perfectly okay. They told option D is wrong, but option A is correct. So option A is correct. So if you go to the Google, so we can see that 1 minute. Yeah, so what is like Apache pig? Apache is the high level scripting language known as the pig Latin. So here they mention pig Latin. Okay, which is used to develop the data analytics code, and which is used to which is basically like to do some like a manipulation, some processing on the store data. The data is stored on the HDFS storage, and if you want to do some processing, then we can use the pig. Right. So if I go to the there is one Quora post. So here if you see pig Latin 4-a-day procedures language, and it is more natural to use pig to build a data pipeline such as detailed. It has more control over the data flow through the pipeline, that is the checkpoint the data in the pipeline. And what the question says, we need to add the checkpointing. So pig is more relevant if we want to do some checkpointing of the data in the pipeline, and because it gives like more control to us. So option number A is correct. Okay, question number 79. Your company maintains a hybrid deployment. So hybrid deployment means like a few infrastructure on our own premises and few on the cloud. Okay, with GCP, okay, we are using the Google Cloud, where analytics and performance on your optimized customer data. So on the GCP we are like doing some analysis of our anonymized customer data. Okay, the data are imported to cloud storage from your data center through parallel uploads to a data transfer server running on GCP. Okay, they told that because we are using the hybrid model, so like we are using like both the things, that is the cloud, Google Cloud, and our like on premises. So what the question say, we are like importing the data from our data center, that is from our own premises, to the cloud. Okay, using some data transfer server or service. So management informed that the daily transfer took too long and have able to fix the problem, but they told that like when you transfer daily basis, though even we are using the parallel uploads, but the management told that it is taking a long time. So you want to maximize transfer speed, how should you take? So we want to increase the transfer speed. So how we will like out of 4 options, which one is correct? So first is increase the CPU size on your server. They told that on the server itself increase the CPU size, but it is the transfer speed from our data center to the Google Cloud. So no relation of the server, right? It is relation with the bandwidth or the network issues. So option A is wrong. Increase the size of the Google persistent disk on your server, no relation with the transfer speed. Like if we increase the disk size on the Google persistent disk on your server, even though like we are storing it on the cloud storage, so no relation. Option B is also eliminated. Increase your network bandwidth, so that looks okay. So if we increase our network bandwidth from data center to GCP, so that will like sort our issue, because we want to maximize our transfer speed, and transfer speed is the problem here. So option C looks okay. Increase your network bandwidth, okay, from compute engine to the cloud storage, but this is wrong, because we are it is not mentioned that like from where we are transferring the data, whether we are transferring the data from the VM to the cloud storage. It's not the VM, we have our own data centers, right? So we have to increase the network speed from our data center to the GCP. So option C looks more relevant out of the 4. So option C looks okay. If you see the discussion community, most of the people say option C. Option D, 80. Question number 80. Question 80 is the like again the case study. So for the case study, like I directly like don't read all this case study, so I directly jump into the Cfo statement. So because this is the main question. So they told that the project is too large for us to maintain the hardware and the software required for the data and analysis. Okay, also we cannot afford to staff an operation team to monitor, okay, and rely on the automation infrastructure. Google Cloud Machine Learning will allow our quantitative research to work on high value problems. Okay, so they have the below requirement. They need to do aggregations over their petabytes data sets. Okay, so read the keyword. They want to do aggregations. Aggregation is like a sum query, count queries, and on the petabytes they need to scan specific time range rows. So these are the time range data, and they want the fast response times. So what option we will recommend? So as soon as like we see the petabytes of data, cloud SQL is eliminated. So option B is eliminated, right? And let's look at the other option, the cloud data store and the big table. Big table looks okay, but cloud data store doesn't look good. BigQuery and the big table. So BigQuery and the big table perfectly looks okay. So we can store the petabytes of the scale dataset here, and for the time series, like we can use the big table, and even for the fast response we can use the big table. So option C looks okay. BigQuery looks, option D, BigQuery looks okay. So but why the cloud storage? So cloud storage doesn't look okay. So option C is perfectly fine out of the 4. So option C is correct, right? So yeah, so that's the end of the video.